Let me ask you something. Look at your life right now. The people closest to you, the voices you hear most often, the talks you keep having again and again. Now be honest. Are they helping build your future, or are they slowly breaking it down? Because here is something I learned early in life. You do not rise by yourself, and you do not fall by yourself either. You are being shaped all the time, quietly and powerfully. Show me your circle, and I will show you your direction. Not your dreams, not your intentions, your direction. Because your circle is shaping your thoughts, and your thoughts are shaping your life. Now listen carefully. Most people do not realize this, but their surroundings are training them every single day. Training them what to think, what to expect, what to believe about themselves. And little by little, without even noticing it, they become a copy of the people they spend time with. That is why this message matters. Because if you want to change your life, you must first look closely at your circle. Not to judge it, not to blame it, but to understand it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about that. Average thinking, average habits, average results. Or high thinking, strong discipline, and high results. So today is not only about motivation, it is about awareness. Because once you become aware, you can no longer stay the same. Let's go deeper into this truth and understand why your circle may be the most important choice you ever make. Listen carefully. Your life is not built only by what you do. It is shaped by what you are exposed to. And what you are exposed to the most becomes your thinking. Now think about that. Not your goals first, not your dreams first, your thinking first. Because everything starts there. Let me say it slowly. Your thinking is not formed alone. It is shaped every day, quietly and constantly, by the people you sit with, by the voices you trust, and by the conversations you repeat. Now, here is something most people never see. You do not just choose your circle. Your circle also chooses your mindset. If you are around doubt, you start thinking in doubt. If you are around complaints, you begin to think like a complainer. If you are around excuses, you start making excuses for your own limits. And slowly, without even knowing it, your thinking becomes borrowed thinking. Not original, not strong, not really yours. Just repeated noise from your environment. Now listen, there is a law in life that almost nobody talks about, but it is always at work. You become what you keep hearing, not in one day, not in one talk, but over time, through repetition, influence, and exposure.
That is why your circle is not just social, it is mental. It is shaping what you believe is possible.
Let me ask you something. When you share a big dream, do the people around you strengthen your belief or shrink it? Do they say, why not you? Or do they say, be realistic? Because those words do not just stay in your ears. They enter your mind. They settle into your thinking. They become your inner voice. And one day, you stop dreaming, not because you failed, but because your environment taught you to stop. That is how powerful this really is. Now listen closely. You are not only influenced by your circle, you are being trained by your circle. Trained in what to expect from life. Trained in how hard to try. Trained in how far to believe. That is why 2 people with the same talent can end up living very different lives. Same ability, different environment, different thinking, different results. Now here is the truth you need to face. If you want to change your life, you cannot only change your habits, you must also change your influences. Because your habits will struggle if your environment keeps pulling you back. But when your circle supports your growth, your thinking becomes stronger, clearer, and harder to stop. So take a moment and think. Not about your future yet. think about your influence. Because your circle is not just around you. It is inside you, shaping your thoughts, shaping your beliefs, shaping your life. And once you understand that, you will never look at people the same way again. Listen closely, because this is something most people feel, but very few truly understand. Energy is not neutral. It is not asleep. It is alive and moving. It spreads quietly, quickly, and powerfully. And whether you notice it or not, you are always taking it in from the people you sit with, from the talks you join, from the place you stay in. Now think about that. Have you ever walked into a room feeling focused and walked out feeling tired? Or walked in motivated and left feeling doubtful? Nothing changed around you, but something changed inside you. That is energy, and energy spreads. Let me say it clearly. Positive energy lifts you up without asking. Negative energy drags you down without warning. You do not always see it happening, but you always feel it happening. Now listen carefully. One of the most dangerous places in life is not the one full of problems. It is the one full of complaining. Because complaining is not just talk. It is a mindset. And that mindset spreads. One complaint leads to another. One excuse leads to another excuse. One doubt becomes a shared belief. And slowly, what started as a conversation becomes a culture. A culture of limits. A culture of blame. A culture of low standards. And when you stay in that kind of place long enough, you do not even realize you are part of it. You begin to speak the same way, think the same way, and expect the same results. Now here is the truth. Energy always beats intention. You may want to stay positive, but if your surroundings are negative, your intention will struggle to survive. That is why some people lose motivation so easily. It is not because they are weak. It is because they are surrounded by doubt, gossip, and emotional noise. And over time, that noise becomes their inner voice. Now think about winners. Not just successful people, but disciplined people. They carry a different energy, focused, clear, moving forward. When you are around them, you do not need a speech to motivate you. You feel the standard. You feel what is expected. You feel what is normal. And slowly, you rise to meet it. That is the power of the right energy. It does not push you. It pulls you upward. Now listen, you must become aware of what you are taking in, because not everything around you deserves access to your mind. Not every talk deserves your attention. Not every complaint deserves your agreement. Not every opinion deserves your belief. Some things must be heard and then let go, because your mind is not a trash bin. It is a garden, and whatever you allow in will grow. So ask yourself today, what kind of energy are you living in? Does it expand you or slowly shrink you? Does it sharpen your focus or scatter your attention? Because energy is always speaking. The only question is, are you listening on purpose or absorbing it without knowing? And once you understand this truth, you will start protecting your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. Listen carefully, because this is where life changes quietly. Not in huge moments, not in sudden luck, but in closeness. In what and who is near you. Now think about that. You do not only learn from books. You do not only learn from speeches. You learn from what is around you every day. Because what is near you starts to feel normal. And what feels normal becomes your standard. Let me say it again slowly. Proximity decides possibility. Now listen, when you stay close to small thinking, you begin to think small. Not because you chose it, but because you absorbed it. When you stay close to average effort, you accept average results. When you stay close to excuses, you begin to believe excuses are reasonable. But when you stay close to ambition, something inside you changes. You do not need a push. You do not need to be convinced. You simply begin to grow. Because proximity is powerful, it is quiet, it is constant, it is shaping you every day. Now here is something most people never see. Your expectations are not built by your dreams alone. They are built by your surroundings. If everyone around you settles, settling becomes normal. If everyone around you delays, delay becomes normal. If everyone around you complains, complaining becomes normal. And once something feels normal, you stop questioning it. That is the danger. Now listen closely. Success is not only about what you want, it is about what you are exposed to. Because exposure changes expectation. When you are exposed to discipline, you begin to respect discipline. When you are exposed to focus, you start to value focus. When you are around people who move with purpose, you stop accepting distraction. And slowly, your life begins to rise to match what you are exposed to. Now think about this truth. You do not rise to your goals first, you rise to your environment first. Your environment pulls you up or pulls you down. There is no neutral place. Now let me leave you with something to think about. If you want success, do not just study success. Study successful people. Watch them. Learn from them. Stay near them. Because closeness teaches what theory cannot. You can read about discipline, but being around disciplined people makes discipline feel normal. You can read about focus, but being around focused people makes distraction feel uncomfortable. That is the shift. Now listen, there is a quiet truth in life. You will rarely stay ahead of your environment for long, not because you lack ability, but because you lack support. And support comes from closeness. So ask yourself honestly, who are you close to? Not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and daily. Who is shaping your decisions without even speaking? Because closeness is not always visible, but it is always working. And here is the powerful part. If you want to change what is possible for you, you must change your closeness. Move closer to growth. Move closer to discipline. Move closer to responsibility. Move closer to people who ask more from life. And slowly, your thinking will stretch, your standards will rise, your expectations will grow, and your actions will improve. Because proximity always wins. Always. So remember, your future is not decided only by your ambition, but by your associations. And when you understand that, you will become very careful about who you allow close to your life. Because closeness creates direction, and direction creates destiny. Listen carefully. This is not about hate. It is not about ego. It is not about judging others. This is about your future, and your future is sensitive. It is fragile. It is shaped every day. Now hear this truth. Some people do not move forward not because they cannot, but because they choose not to. And when you stay too close to that mindset, it starts to affect you slowly, quietly, and steadily. Now listen, there are people who do not dream anymore, so they discourage dreaming. There are people who do not grow anymore, so they resist growth. There are people who stop believing in change, so they speak against change. And if you stay close enough, their voice becomes your voice. Their doubt becomes your doubt. Their limits become your limits. Their life becomes your reference point. And that is where growth starts to die.
Not all at once. Quietly.
Now understand this. You do not need toxic enemies to fail. Sometimes all it takes is constant exposure to limiting thinking, because limiting thinking is strong. It does not shout. It whispers. It says things like, Be realistic. Don't try too hard. People like us don't do that. That is not possible. And slowly, you start believing it. Not because it is true, but because it is repeated. Now listen carefully. One of the hardest choices in life is not choosing success. It is choosing distance. Distance from what keeps you small. Distance from what keeps you comfortable. Distance from what keeps you average. And let me be clear. You do not have to be rude to anyone. You do not have to argue. You do not have to prove anything. You only have to protect your direction, because every close influence shapes your path. Now think about this. If someone is always pulling you backward and you stay close, you will need twice the effort just to stand still. And most people never realize this. They think they are lazy. They think they lack discipline. They think they lack motivation. But in truth, they are surrounded by resistance. Now here is the truth you have to accept. Not everyone deserves equal access to your life. Some people deserve your respect, but not your daily attention. Some people deserve your kindness, but not your constant presence. Because your attention is not free. It has a cost. It costs your focus. It costs your clarity. It costs your direction. Now listen, growth requires separation, not hate, not anger, but clarity. Clarity about where you are going and what cannot come with you. Because you cannot step into a new life while carrying old thinking that refuses to change. Now let me say this slowly. You are not becoming what you want. You're becoming what is around you. So if you stay around limits, you will make limits feel normal. If you stay around excuses, you will begin excusing yourself. If you stay around people who stop trying, you will slowly stop trying too. And one day you will look at your life and wonder how you got there. But it was not sudden. It was influence. It was closeness. It was repetition. Now here is the turning point. You must choose growth over comfort, even if it feels uncomfortable at first, even if it creates distance, even if it feels strange, because comfort with the wrong people creates discomfort in your future. So choose wisely. And if you must, step back not to punish anyone, but to protect your direction, because your life is too valuable to be shaped by limits that are not yours. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything connects. Not motivation, not theory, action. Real, clear action. You cannot build a new life with an old circle. It does not work that way, because your future needs a different environment. Now think about that. Most people try to change their life without changing what surrounds them. They try to think bigger while staying around small thinking. They try to grow while staying around people who refuse to grow. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But the truth is simple. Your environment either supports your future or delays it. Now listen, if you want a better life, you must be intentional about your circle. Not by accident, not by chance, intentionally. You must start choosing people based on direction, not comfort. Because comfort keeps you where you are, but direction moves you ahead. Now here is a strong shift. Do not just ask, who do I enjoy being around? Ask, who is shaping who I am becoming? Because becoming matters more than belonging. Now listen closely. You do not need a perfect circle. You need a growth circle. People who think, people who work, people who improve, people who do not just talk about change, but live it. Because when you are around people like that, something happens. Your standards rise. Your excuses fade. Your focus gets sharper. And slowly, you stop needing motivation because your environment becomes your motivation. Then I'll tell you something important. You do not find a strong circle. You build one. Sometimes you must start alone, learning, growing, building discipline. And as you grow, you begin to attract different kinds of people. Not people who drain you, but people who challenge you. Not people who limit you, but people who expand you. That is how it works. You become the signal, and your circle adjusts. Now listen carefully. Your life will always reflect your closest influences. So if you want better results, do not just chase better goals. Chase better relationships. Chase better conversations. Chase better thinking. Chase better standards. Because everything in your life rises or falls with your circle. Your life changes when you change who you are around and who you become around them. So choose wisely. Choose growth. Choose discipline. Choose ambition. Choose direction. And build a circle that matches the future you are trying to create. Because in the end, your circle does not just reflect your life, it creates it. And so understand this. Your life is not an accident. It is a reflection of your thoughts, a reflection of your habits, and most of all, a reflection of your circle. Now listen, if you want to change your life, you do not start with the world. You start with awareness. Awareness of who is around you. Awareness of what you are hearing. Awareness of what is shaping you each day. Because once you see it clearly, you cannot ignore it anymore. And now let this settle in your mind. You are not stuck. You are influenced. And what is influencing you can be changed slowly, wisely, and on purpose. You do not need to cut everything off overnight. You do not need to rush your decisions. But you do need clarity. Clarity about direction, clarity about growth, clarity about your future. Because your future is not waiting for permission. It is being shaped right now by your choices. So choose carefully. Choose people who expand you. Choose places that challenge you. Choose conversations that build you. And above all, choose to become the kind of person who naturally attracts the life you want. Because in the end, success is not only about what you do. It is about who you become and who you become around. And remember this, your circle will either lift you higher or quietly keep you where you are. So build wisely, live on purpose, and never underestimate the people around you, because they are shaping your destiny more than you realize.